Hello and welcome to another episode of Bored and Annoyed. I am home at the movies.
And I'm Jackson.
And today we're discussing The Endless.
Yeah.
Bored and Annoyed. So you want to go into news first?
Well, I'm sure everyone's excited to hear about The Endless because, you know, everyone knows what it is.
Right. Yeah, we're going like full indie on this.
Yeah, right.
Which, yeah.
But yeah, no, trailer's fine.
See, we had Ant-Man and Wasp got a second trailer.
Right.
As the Marvel guy, I was pretty meh on it.
Yeah, I think it looks fun. I like the first one more than you did, though, too. So.
Right. The weird thing is that I love Paul Rudd.
Right. Well, that's why the first one's entertaining.
Right.
Is because he's good and his style of comedy to me is funny.
Right. And I love Paul Rudd and I like Michael Douglas like a lot. So it's really weird that I just think the movie it's fine.
Yeah, and Michelle Pfeiffer is in it?
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Now,
I think we had a quick shot of her in the trailer.
Now, is she the villain though? Like, is she covered in a mask or something? Is that who that is?
No,
or
that's I think what it's going to be. The character's name is Ghost, and she kind of has visions powers. She can phase through shit.
Okay.
And I think she's going to end up being Lawrence Fishburne's daughter.
Okay, that's who the bad guy is.
Yeah,
the villain.
Yeah. Michelle Pfeiffer is actually going to be Michael Douglas's wife, Janet Van Dyne.
Okay, well, see, I feel like Michelle Pfeiffer has to be bad in this.
She might be, but I mean, the whole problem...
That's just a guess.
She might be. She could be. I mean, God knows what being in... Because she's supposed to be trapped in the quantum realm. That's what this one is about, is getting her out
that's right, because she got stuck in there, and that was like the whole...
Yeah.
You know, if he goes in, then, you know...
Yep.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I mean...
She was the Wasp when Michael Douglas was the Ant-Man, correct?
Yes.
Is that right?
That was some of my favorite stuff, too, from that
there was
movie.
like an airplane scene or something.
Yeah, they were trying to stop a Russian rocket or something.
Okay, yeah, there
like
you
a
go.
nuke. That was a great scene.
Yeah, the effects in it were great. It was a good 3D movie.
Yeah,
you know?
that I will say about that movie. That was really good to see.
Yeah, some of the neat,
theater.
like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids type scenes.
And some of the set pieces when he was small were actually really cool.
Right.
I can't help, and I don't hold this against the movie, but I can't help but wonder what the Edgar Wright was originally supposed to direct the movie.
Okay.
You know Edgar Wright.
What did he make?
He made The End of the World, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Baby Driver.
So, they're going, the
Shaun
tone
of the
would have
Dead.
been totally different then.
The tone would have been totally different, but
Right.
I think the editing would have been amazing.
Yeah, you're probably right. I did like those movies. I liked Baby Driver a lot.
Yeah.
The first one I remember, the only thing that kind of got me was... and I don't even know the actor's name, but the Hispanic dude, his friend,
Michael Pena,
was a little much.
Yes.
If I remember correctly. And he always is in everything. He kind of plays like the over the top.
Yeah.
Like every line is a joke.
Right.
You know?
He felt almost like a racist caricature, if I'm honest.
I mean,
I'm not like, there are people who I've seen online who are like, I know that guy. Like, I know that overly enthusiastic Hispanic guy.
Right. So, I mean, is it a racist caricature, or is it just, there are those people. Like, it was funny. One show that I know everybody seems to like that we watch is Atlanta on FX. It's kind of a...
I have not been watching it. I hear it's amazing.
But it's like a black culture show.
Right.
And last night there was an episode where one of the characters is going to get his hair cut at the barber shop.
Okay.
And the barber is just, you would say the same thing. He's just like a out there, whatever. But and the guy who's going to get his hair cut is super irritated with him.
Right.
So it's like, we all have those characters. It's like the nerdy white guy.
Right. Well, and it's one thing, I think, if you're doing like a black culture thing and it's a commentary on it and it's black people making the commentary and it's not the only black character.
Okay.
But when you got one Hispanic dude and he's
suppose.
that, it's a bit much. And it didn't help that I found his character irritating.
Well, you're basically saying that every role that Michael Pena guy plays is that, because that's, that could be who he is.
The first time I saw it, I really liked it. But as, that movie just does not hold up for repeat
I thought it was
viewings.
pretty good. I've seen it a couple times. I thought it was good. It wasn't like one of the best, but
I will say this: the daughter in it, the one from Lost.
now, yeah, she was like the emotion, or the one from Lost. Oh God, Evangeline Lilly.
Yeah, she looks pretty great in this as the new Wasp.
Right.
I'm pretty excited for the action set pieces, but as far as like, I don't have this overwhelming hype for the movie.
Well, it's funny because Evangeline Lilly, you bring her up, it's like you would have thought after all the hype Lost got that she would like blow up into this star. She's like very attractive. She seems like pretty good actress, but you don't see her in anything.
I feel like she might be missing that, everybody's got to have that it factor. And sometimes, and that's sort of what I feel about her character in general in those in that first movie. I'm like, she's fine, but she's a little bland.
Okay.
But I mean, I'll see it. Obviously, I'm going to see it.
Right.
Next trailer, though. Robin Hood.
Yeah, and we just finished watching this one. Neither of us had seen it. And the first thing I said, like 10 seconds into it, was like, well, wait a minute. Just from the music and what was happening in the trailer, he's like loading his crossbow up like it's an assault rifle or something. And I said, wait a minute, is this like modern day Robin Hood? Or?
And then they show the castle and you're like, nope.
Yeah,
nope.
No.
It's just weirdly shot. The costumes look very much a modern interpretation of what medieval costumes would be like.
Yeah, are they going for like a Game of Thrones type look to it? Is this like a? I guess my point would be on this one. I mean, there's not too much to say about this except for like, do we need another Robin Hood right now?
Well, it's like, just because it's in the public domain doesn't mean we need a Robin Hood. Yeah.
So that's the deal with it. Yep. So anyone can just make a Robin Hood movie.
Because we just got the one with
Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe did 8 years ago or something. I mean, it was a while ago now.
Was it? I thought it was like 2 years ago.
No, it's been a while.
Okay.
I mean, it's a pretty forgettable movie. It's not very good. I was really excited to see it because I love Russell Crowe. He's my favorite actor. But I thought it was kind of crap.
I think you were the reason I didn't see it because of that. Because I'm like, well, if it can't win over Jackson and he loves Russell Crowe, I'm not even wasting my time.
It was a generic, like, it's not horrible. It had like Kate Blanchett in it. She was really good as the maid Marian or whatever.
Right.
Another actor I really like was in it. The guy the bald dude from John Carter, actually. I can't think of his name right now. But the villain in
Mark
John
Strong?
Carter. Yes, he was the bad guy in it.
He's a
and
good
he
actor.
was really good.
Yep.
Like, it had a bunch of good performances. It just was like, there's no reason for this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's sort of the weird thing about bad movies nowadays is there are so many good actors that are looking for a franchise that even the bad ones usually have good actors.
It was like a franchise starter too. It was like a prequel to Robin Hood.
That's
it was before he was the Prince of Thieves. You know?
Which is weird because Russell Crowe is about the age that the average man would die in that time.
It's true. Yeah, but he's Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is forever. I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, Kate Blanchett would be considered like an old hag.
That's probably true.
And they'd be like, what's wrong with her? Why isn't she wed and had 7 children?
Yeah, they did a thing in that one where it was like the maid Marian was like a badass. And it's like, okay, I get it, women empowerment, but not fine because that's never been the character that... I mean, I guess you're trying something different, but I don't know.
Well, at this point, I'm like, you know what? I'm done with Robin Hood in the traditional sense. Do it somewhere else. Do it in the future.
What they did, I mean, I like the Kevin Costner, Alan Rickman one from the 90s. Alan Rickman was fantastic, and I feel like I'm never going to be able to get past the fact that, like, I'm going to compare every Sheriff of Nottingham to Alan Rickman. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, it's Alan Rickman. I love Kevin Costner in that movie in that he hired an accent coach to teach him how to do an English accent. And the coach was like, I'm done.
Is that what happened?
Yeah,
really.
He just did the American accent because they were like, this is not working. You're awful.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Did Morgan Freeman have an English accent in that?
I'm not even sure.
I might have to rewatch that soon. It's been a while.
Morgan Freeman's pretty great.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a good movie. I like it. It's not like a classic by any means, but it's a good movie. It's got that cheesy like Bryan Adams soundtrack. It's so 90s, man.
It is the 90s encapsulated, which I'm fine with. But this new Robin Hood looks terrible.
Right.
The action looks horrible. I love how like the aspect of this one that they're selling to make it different is we are doing a masked vigilante take on it. And Robin Hood is he's like the Bruce Wayne, or I guess if you watch Arrow, he seems like the dude from Arrow. He's like a rich playboy, and then he spends his nights putting on a hood and shooting arrows at people.
It does, now that you say that, it does look like Arrow, the movie.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. It really does.
Because the cinematography isn't even good. Like, it looks like just a step above what's already on Arrow anyways.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
So, yeah, looks terrible. Probably going to see it anyways.
Yeah, of course. We'll be there.
Oh, man. Oh, Jamie Foxx is in it. Because the dude just does not know like what's a good franchise.
Well, they had to get a draw for their movie, right? Does anybody else know? Ben Mendelsohn, who we just talked about playing.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because I texted you when I saw the cast, and I'm like, what do you know? He's playing like this sniveling bad guy who's going to be a prick.
Yes, so for anybody who doesn't know, Ben Mendelsohn was the bad guy in Rogue One. He was the bad guy in Ready Player One.
And I'm still trying to figure out, is this a shared universe where he's actually the same character in all of these movies? Because he is the same character. So, I mean, the way he acts.
But here's the thing. Rogue One takes place in a galaxy far, far away. A long time ago.
You want to get crazy. Maybe Ready Player One, like what you thought was the real world, wasn't really the real world, and it was just a guy.
Oh man,
we're going like a dream within a dream.
We're doing like the Elon Musk, like Inception. Everything's
So this guy is obsessed with Rogue One, who's playing the game.
Right.
This will be like the year 2250 or something, and he is getting in and pretending he's Ben Mendelsohn's character from Rogue One.
We're going down the rabbit hole. I love it.
You never know.
But Jamie Foxx trying to join another franchise starter. Kid from whatchamacallit's in it, Kingsman.
Oh yeah, right.
Taron Egerton, I think is his name.
Something like that.
But yeah, speaking of the Fox,
yeah. So apparently, one of my favorite comic book franchises is getting remade, or we're hoping.
Yep.
It's one of those. Todd McFarlane wants to make a new Spawn movie.
Yep.
And they have asked Jamie Foxx to play Al Simmons, aka Spawn. Now, what's interesting about this is one of two roles, I can't remember what the other one was, that he has always wanted. So I don't know why this news isn't just Jamie Foxx is playing Spawn.
Right, yeah.
But if I remember, and you can correct me on this, I don't know if you've seen anything, but is Todd McFarlane directing this? Is that the rumor here?
I know he wrote the script.
So Todd McFarlane created Spawn.
Yep.
Part of Image Comics, kind of a small offshoot comic book company.
Yep.
Bunch of guys that came from Marvel. They were pissed at Marvel for some reason. They went off and started Image.
90s was a bad time to work for Marvel.
Right. So the biggest character from that
Spawn.
Yeah, would be Spawn.
Yeah.
And his deal is he is a dead soldier.
Yep.
Was betrayed and killed by one of the other soldiers in his group.
Yep.
And he misses his wife, and the devil basically makes a deal with him that if he'll lead his army to take over the world or take over heaven, that he will let him live again and see his wife.
Yep.
That's the premise. Pretty dark. There's not like... this is the one comic book where I can speak on it because I read quite a few of these back in the day.
Right.
There's not much as far as big showdowns in the Spawn comics. It's more like dude in alley saves random people from bad, homeless, dark, dingy assholes.
Like there was the priest who kidnapped a kid.
Yep.
Brought him into the alley, and then Spawn kills him.
Correct.
There was the child molester ice cream truck driver.
Yeah. So this was a great idea to make this. This is a great idea to make this a PG-13 movie in the 90s, wasn't it?
Jesus Christ.
With Martin Sheen.
That movie is atrocious.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. And I liked it when I was a little kid, but I didn't know any better. But I'm pretty excited. If they're going to make an R-rated dark Spawn movie, I think I saw interview with Todd McFarlane where he talked about how he kind of wanted to do like a lower budget superhero movie. Is this going to be a superhero movie though?
Here's the weird thing for me. So they're saying it's almost going to be like a monster movie and Spawn is the monster and you're rarely going to see Spawn. If that's the case, then why cast Jamie Foxx?
Well, that's got to be bullshit. Somebody's going to put...
Because it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm fine with Spawn being this guy that you hardly ever see and he's in the shadows all the time. That sounds like good cinematography and it sounds like an interesting way to represent the character. And it sounds more faithful than what we got in the movie, the original movie.
For certain, it would be more faithful.
But I mean, it's like you don't get Jamie Foxx unless all of a sudden he's like a leading dude. You know, like it follows him. Because what Todd McFarlane said just like literally like a month ago was this is going to follow more so the cops that Spawn is like an urban legend that they're trying to sort of investigate.
Okay, well, we'll see how they do it. Maybe it's a setup. Maybe they want Jamie Foxx because maybe the sequel is his movie or something. Well, but it better be good, then it better make money.
The thing that scares me is that Todd McFarlane has been working on this script for like 10 plus years.
I know, forever.
And he's constantly over the years been like, yeah, it's really close. It's really close.
Well, that's what that's why I wouldn't be shocked if it never gets made. But he's a little weird.
Yes.
He's a strange guy.
I mean, I like him, and he seems really okay with everybody at Marvel now.
Yeah.
Because everything worked out, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Spawn kicks ass. I mean, it's just a great character.
I don't know if the series is still going.
The comic? The comic? I don't either.
Last I heard, he turned into like an angel.
Okay, well, we don't need to get that far. Let's hope. But no, Jamie Foxx, I mean, fucking awesome, right?
And I said to you, these good actors, they rarely, if they do a comic book series and the original one sucks, like Amazing Spider-Man 2, very rarely do they sign on to a second that actually sucks. I think Ryan Reynolds is the one exception.
And which one would that have been? Did he sign on to like...
He did Green Lantern after he did X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Ah, okay.
But then he came back and he did Deadpool again. So he turned out all right.
We're not counting Andrew Garfield as like a real actor who would sign on to a shit movie. And then, although that movie made money, so...
Well, I mean, I can't... Andrew Garfield's only been one comic book character.
Oh, you're saying a second character?
Yeah, a second.
Okay,
yeah, like a second franchise
movie.
A second franchise.
Okay,
yeah, because you
Ben
got
Affleck.
Ben. Oh shit!
Daredevil
Wait, shit! He's the other exception.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel bad for Ben Affleck.
Yeah, he's 0 for 2.
Yeah. But I mean, you got Chris Evans who did Human Torch.
Human Torch, right.
And he turned out well. And then you had Michael B. Jordan, also Human Torch, going to Killmonger. That turned out well for him.
Yeah, so, I mean, was that Michael B. Jordan one like even considered a real movie that anyone knows happened? Or
it's considered a like a posthumous sort of a dissection of what can happen in film. In the modern studio age, I think it's more of that than an actual film.
Perfect. I still haven't seen it. I got to watch it. We should watch it
someday. People will be watching that. And,
yeah. The superhero movie that neither of us have seen.
Right.
That's
what
bizarre.
Does that say?
Yeah, that's really bizarre.
Quick little piece of news. We don't need to spend much time on this one at all, but Avengers is now at 1.164 billion already, which is it's been out for like 10 days in the U.S. and 12 days overseas.
Yeah, that's not that impressive.
Well, technically, it actually beat Force Awakens for the quickest to $1 billion.
That's fine. Moving on.
And it did so without China, and Force Awakens had China.
Yeah, that's, I mean.
Just the Marvel show.
There's not many people in that country anyway.
It is projected to do like crazy big over there.
Of course it is.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see. But I mean, they're saying it might be the fourth movie to ever reach $2 billion.
Yeah, I believe it. It deserves to make that much money.
Yeah. Well, I'm just shocked.
I'd like to see it again already. I've seen it twice. I wouldn't mind seeing it a third. Did you go again?
I haven't gone again.
Okay, I was hoping to.
What
catch
I will
you.
say is, here's a little bit of a PSA for everybody: don't watch the Infinity War trailer after you've seen it, because you're going to want to see it again.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, on Infinity War. Yeah. Fun nugget. So there's a guy I work with who saw it, and I asked him before he saw it, I said, have you seen all of these movies? Mm-hmm. Like, because that's kind of what intrigues me about it.
Right.
He had only seen a couple of them, like Ragnarok, I think he had seen, maybe one here or there. He seemed a lot more lukewarm on the movie than anyone else I had spoken with.
Well, what's really weird about that is I also have a coworker who saw it no, I'm not even trying to discredit but I found this really weird, and it warmed my heart a little bit. But he only watches the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Okay.
And he likes Deadpool. He likes that sort of ridiculous level of comedy comic book
but
movies. He doesn't like comic book. He hasn't seen any of the X-Men. He doesn't watch the Spider-Man movies,
like Captain America and shit.
Yeah, he hasn't seen any of those.
And he liked it.
And he loved it. And he was like, it made him he literally said, I might be wrong about these superhero movies, because if they're all like this, or if they're of this quality, I'm going to have to go back and check the other ones.
Which they are for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, they all... Maybe not all get to this high.
I wouldn't say that this one's better because of its quality necessarily.
Right.
I'd say it's better just because of the subject matter. How could it not be better?
Right.
I mean, it's just like not to say anything bad about its quality, but
right.
I mean, Thor Ragnarok's a really good movie too. It's just as competently made, I would say, but I don't like it as much because this is fucking crazy and there's tons of shit going on.
Yeah, so. This one doesn't give you a chance to breathe, whereas Ragnarok has a little bit of a comedy and lightness to it, where you can just sort of breathe with the characters. But yeah, that's enough of Infinity War. I'm sure I'll just continue to keep
But yeah, if you haven't seen any of the Marvel movies, don't see it, and tell your friends not to see it too.
Or, you could just go and see it and then rent all of the Marvel movies. I mean, half of them are on Netflix anyways.
No, just go buy The Force Awakens. Again. Because they've probably come out with a fourth version of it.
You know what's really sad is now it's Disney versus Disney.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Anyway, this deserves more money than The Force Awakens.
The weird thing to me is, so I saw some people online trying to sort of discredit what Infinity War is doing, saying, "Oh, the original Star Wars would have done way better," and all this stuff. And I'm sort of sitting here and I'm like, well, you don't really know that, because the entertainment landscape has changed so dramatically that nobody looks at movies the same way that they used to.
Right.
But what it made me realize was that the real rivalry now, it's not DC and Marvel. It's Marvel and Star Wars.
Yeah, well, count it over. I'm sorry.
Well, it's not though, because Star Wars.
I heard Solo is crushing it in pre.
It is.
Yeah, which sorry about that, people. I heard Solo was crushing it in ticket sales right now.
Black Panther for highest pre-sales. I'm like, well, I mean, it didn't beat Infinity War, but it beat Black Panther. That blew me away, because Black Panther had like double what Batman v Superman had, which had the record for most pre-sales for a superhero film.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. Especially looking at the trailer. I mean, I'm sorry. Okay, maybe it'll be fun, but it looks pretty stupid and shitty to me.
Have you started like ruining the movie by checking out all the clips and stuff?
No, I'm not going to. I'm going in on these two trailers or whatever that I've seen with the actor who just looks terrible playing Han Solo. I'm sorry, he looks awful.
Well, I think he's doing the smart thing, which is you just can't do an impression of the previous guy, like what Michael Fassbender did with Ian McKellen's Magneto. You can't do that, because you're just doing an imitation, and people will see it.
I mean, so I'm not a huge Emilia Clarke fan either.
Right.
I know.
I think we're both kind of on the same page.
Yeah. I
mean, she's fine. She's fine. She's great in Game of Thrones.
She is great to look at. I'll be the guy who says it. I mean, honestly, I'm excited that she's in the movie, and it's not because I think she's a good actress. Mm-hmm. I mean, not that I think she's going to go up there and be like, scantily clad or anything.
Right.
But
running around in a bikini.
It'll be
like
fun
Leia.
to have, Daenerys in a Star Wars movie, but I just am in so much fear of like wooden actor bouncing off wooden actor in scenes where it's like, oh God.
Funnily enough, there's Woody Harrelson in this.
Well, and he'll be
he'll be one of the most charismatic people in it.
And Donald Glover, speaking of Atlanta.
Right. Yeah. God, he's so great.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I will say in that trailer, I think one of my favorite parts is when they introduce Lando, because he does that whole he's drinking out of a glass and he's sitting in a very relaxed position. And he's looking at Han Solo, and Han says like, I heard about you. And he's like, and he just stares him dead in the face, doesn't move and he just kind of takes the glass and puts it over whilst just staring at him, and just like, everything you've heard about me is true. And it's just, I'm like, fucking hell, Donald Glover. I love this dude.
I mean, Lando's introduction in Empire Strikes Back was great when they land there. And it's just like, he's just this suave, just the total, schmoozer.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great character. And actually, little plug. If anybody does read comic books out there, the Lando comic book series is fantastic.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
And it makes me, I'm really hoping that they're just going to use this as a springboard for Donald Glover's Lando movie.
Hey, if he's good, yeah.
He looks like
I'm
he's
more intrigued by Lando in this than I am by Han Solo.
Right.
For sure.
I'm not really, I don't like a lot of the lines. Once you're in this life, you're in it for good.
Yeah.
Fuck this. I'm putting a team together. What are you, the Space Avengers? Fucking hell.
Maybe that is kind of what it looks like, though, doesn't it? I don't like the action scenes and everything. It does look like that, like aesthetic.
Yeah. Well, and that's my thing is I'm getting really fucking tired of, like, I like Marvel, but I'm getting really tired of their influence on everything. Like the humor, a lot of people are like, the humor in the Star Wars movies is very Marvel now.
Do you think that that's what they were going for in The Last Jedi?
Absolutely.
It didn't feel the same to me.
It didn't feel the same because it didn't land.
Yeah.
Because Marvel actually, Marvel knows what they're doing with the humor more often than not. Iron Man 3 and, I don't know, Kat Dennings aside.
Kat Dennings. That's random. Everyone Google Kat Dennings.
Yeah.
Just Google her. We won't even talk about her role in any of the Marvel movies. But
I mean, you can do a nice image search and you'll like what you see, but the second that she talks, you'll hate everything.
I don't know if you'll like what you see. I mean, I don't know.
Have you seen her assets?
You mean that show she's on?
No,
Two Broke Girls,
No,
right?
that's not an asset. That's a detriment.
Okay.
She has two very nice assets.
Okay, well, there
this
you go.
This has become a terrible podcast. I'm sorry, ladies.
Hey, that's fine. Yeah. Well, I mean, we can move on.
Yeah.
I'll just do a quick Google image search here, and I'm just kidding.
This is brought to you by Google, actually.
Yeah, right. Don't give free advertising to Google.
Yeah. Use Yahoo instead.
Yeah, right.
They don't sell your data as much, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, they can't. So another bit of news is that we can thank you, actually. You brought up MoviePass last week and how they cut it down to 4 movies a month.
Yeah.
It's back to unlimited now.
Yeah.
So we can all breathe a sigh of relief, us MoviePass people.
We're just going to be following MoviePass, I feel like, every week. Any news that comes out, because this is intriguing, and if the ship goes down, I really want to have a play-by-play.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because there's always new news coming out regarding how much money they're losing,
right,
and whether or not it's a solvent,
right
idea.
And it's an interesting idea, and it's an interesting experiment, and it could end up saving the movie industry.
It could.
I mean, the theater-going experience.
Yeah, we'll see. Although. We have a little bit to talk about our theater-going experience yesterday. But we'll get into that when we review our movie.
Wow. Yeah.
It was one I haven't heard in a while, but
let's see, there's another so we talked about He-Man last week.
Yeah, He-Man.
There's more He-Man news.
I saw that. You mean Thor 4. That's the movie you're talking about,
so
right?
Yeah, they came out and they sort of did a sort of character breakdown and sort of a plot synopsis of what they're sort of shooting for with this new movie. So basically, there's King Randor, who is the king of Eternia. I love these names just because I know that it was created in a workspace to sell toys.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so weird. So King Randor.
I mean, Grayskull's a pretty sweet name.
Yeah, it is actually a pretty sweet name. I like objectively. How is there not a metal band named Grayskull? There probably is.
There has to be.
I'm gonna Yahoo that one up.
Yeah, sure. How about this? I'll Yahoo it now while
I give you the rundown.
The synopsis of this He-Man movie.
All right, so there's King Randor, and he's got two sons, Keldor and Adam. Adam got the boring name. Keldor is like the perfect son, and he's like the first in line to become king.
Okay.
And then Adam is like the outsider and the weirdo. And spoiler alert, guys, Adam is the one who turns into He-Man. And at some point, King Randor has to put the kingdom before his son. And so Keldor betrays him, and then an accident happens, and he becomes Skeletor.
Okay. So basically, there are two sons of a king.
Yep.
And one of them is the outcast, which that's the wrinkle in this, right? The outcast is He-Man.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Now, who does the king want to give the crown
He wants to give it to Keldor, Skeletor.
Okay. So that's the wrinkle, but the point is you have like feuding brothers. One's good, one's evil.
Yep. And one happens to be a blonde, handsome, ripped guy.
And he's the outcast.
And he's the...
Right?
Yeah. Well, I kind of wonder because, the weird thing
Eternia is just all like computer nerds that like kids that sit in their parents' basements, apparently. So He-Man, who's I'm assuming going to be played by, like a Channing Tatum type.
You know what? Channing Tatum actually would be fine.
He'd be a great He-Man. Yeah, he'd be really good. But I mean, he's the outcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I've always wondered this because in the cartoon, he's supposed to be all meek. And okay, by the way, weird thing about the show, everybody wears fur underwear on the outside of their pants. That's just an aside. But Adam wears a pink shirt and purple tights. And he's supposed to be all like, oh, I'm scared of things. He's kind of doing the Clark Kent thing.
Have you been doing a refresher on He-Man?
It's just something that I've always found strange.
Like, I didn't, per your, like you saying, I didn't have any excuse for not watching He-Man because it's on Netflix. I did not go watch He-Man.
Oh, man.
So I still have no excuse.
You need to go watch it simply for the opening, the song intro.
Okay.
It might be one of the greatest cartoon song intros ever.
All right.
I have the power to tell you how much this movie is going to suck.
Hey, I'm not there yet.
I know. It will be a movie.
That's true. It will be a movie. Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I just find it really weird that they did a full-on Thor.
Yeah, when I read the synopsis, I was like, "Oh, it's Thor."
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how these guys, these two brothers, the Knee brothers. I'm always going to remember that name because I just picture them like walking down alleys, like kneeing people in the face.
Is it Knee?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if it's not, Alex was wrong, and next week we'll correct him.
Yep. Or maybe I'll put it in post right here. I probably didn't do it in post.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's kind of it for news, really. It's kind of a slow week for news. I mean, there were a bunch of interviews that the Russo brothers did about Infinity War, but it's kind of like, do you really need that?
We're going to be talking about that forever if we keep talking about
it. The sequel is a year away.
Right.
Like, we just need to...
So let's just wait like 1 month, and then we'll get into sequel news every week.
I'll just wait until a trailer. All this stupid this is what I hate about the online movie community is everybody wants to do speculation and this means this. It's like, shut up. Just wait for the trailer because all your shit is probably wrong anyways.
That's true, but if it wasn't for the online movie community, I never would have saw Russell Crowe as Jor-El in his full Jor-El regalia smoking a cigarette. So...
they
brought us that, which was hilarious.
I guess I should have known that the old Robin Hood had to have been old because he wasn't fat for that.
Yeah, that's true.
God, he has gained a lot of weight.
I know. It worked in The Nice Guys.
It did. God, I love that movie.
Yeah, it was great.
But yeah, let's get into The Endless.
Yeah, shall we?
Yeah.
So, The Endless. It is directed by two gentlemen. One of them, Justin Benson, and the other is Aaron Moorhead, who play Justin and Aaron in the movie.
Yep.
They are brothers who we find out pretty quickly at some point escaped, quote unquote, a UFO death cult.
Yep.
Apparently, when they were young, they were in a car accident. The mother who was driving died, and these people from this group found them and brought them in and raised them.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they didn't really go into exactly what age they were when they left, correct?
No. It was kind of weird, though, because they made them look like... They made it sound like it had to have been a long time ago, but really age-wise, like they look almost identical.
Yeah, I noticed that too. So basically, at some point, the older brother, who's wiser, is kind of figuring out what this is, kind of gets his younger brother, and they leave.
Yeah.
And they leave for a decade.
Yep.
And the younger brother kind of misses it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they have a shit life. They just clean rooms for people.
Yep. They have a shit life outside of the cult.
They're
That's
eating
right.
ramen every day.
Yep. Yep. So basically, the younger brother kind of, pushes the older one to say, "Okay, we'll go back for a visit."
Yep.
We'll go visit
one day, one night, and we're gone.
Right.
Because they got a video from these people.
Oh yes, that's the other key part. Is they randomly got a video from someone in the group, basically saying something. It was something along the lines of like, "Hey, we've gone to a better place," kind of that kind of thing.
The ascension is happening, so I just wanted to say, hey, and we're fine.
Yeah, right. So they decide, okay, well, we're gonna go back. Now they go back, and that's our movie. I mean, I don't want to go too much further into that before we talk spoilers. But that's kind of the movie. Obviously things are interesting when they go back.
Let's general impressions.
I thought it was really good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was really. It's a little slow, but it's got a really good mastery of tone.
Sure. Oh, totally. You had mentioned you were surprised by how funny it was, and I thought it was really funny without ever being like slapsticky, annoying funny.
Yep. Yeah, the brothers had a nice interplay.
Oh, they were I think they're going to do big things just from my impression of those two.
It was so weird. The older brother looks almost identical to my cousin.
Oh, there you go.
It was so weird.
Did you send him a text?
No, I didn't.
You should text him a picture.
We're not those kind of cousins.
Oh, okay. All right. He's the shitty cousin, apparently. Hopefully he never hears this.
Yeah, nobody in my family listens to this podcast.
But yeah, no, I thought it was really good. The two brothers were great. I would say overall it had a really interesting premise.
Yeah.
I can't say that I've seen a lot of things exactly like it.
Yep.
And I would say that all of the performances were great.
Yeah.
And all of the characters were great characters.
Yeah.
I didn't hate any of the characters. I thought they were all interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They were all interesting, likable, and very distinct. Everybody was very distinct.
Yes, without being caricatures.
Yes.
Except for maybe one of our favorite characters was a little bit out there.
Yeah, I liked him, though.
Yeah. Yeah, so did I. So, yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, it was good.
And the cinematography was great. I would say the effects were really good, but there weren't as many like sci-fi weird effects as I expected to be in the movie.
The effects were pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell it had a lower budget. There were moments where you're like,
Well, that's what's intelligent, though, is if this was made with $100 million even, it would have been overboard. You know what I'm saying? It's very, there's not much they need you to see.
Exactly. Exactly.
So.
It's becoming, so we've been sort of talking about how some of our favorite movies, like 10 Cloverfield Lane, all of them seem to be these Twilight Zone episodes that are stretched out into a 2-hour format.
Right.
And I think that works wonders, and that's exactly what this is.
Yeah, this one was really good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was I think the thing that I really love about it was thematically very complex. There was a lot of metaphor in it, I feel.
Right.
But also the metaphor didn't get in the way of the actual plot and the logistics of the plot.
That's what's funny about it is I came out like just as typically you see a movie like this and that's all you can really think of is like, oh, the overly convoluted plot, which can be a good thing. I don't know. But I was actually thinking like, wow, what a great relationship between the brothers and the guy who runs the cult. Yeah. And like all that stuff, all the character drama was really good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Everything was, I mean, it's like, it's not a perfect movie, but it's one of those ones where after only one viewing, I'm struggling outside of saying it's a little slow, it's a slight nitpick.
Well, and it's like, I have a feeling it's going to be one that ages well as far as future watches.
Absolutely.
I think it'll be better a second time seeing it.
And this isn't a spoiler. I think that something that goes along with that makes it age a little bit better is the fact that they sort of have this sort of the technology in it feels very dated. There's a flip phone at the beginning of the movie.
Right. You're right. I didn't even think of that.
They get a Betamax tape instead of a VHS tape in the mail.
Well, and that all works into the plot, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah. And even the TV in their apartment, and it all makes sense character-wise because they're poor, but they don't even have a flat screen. They have one of those like DVD combo tube TVs,
right?
Which is like I remember when those came out. That was like 2002-ish or late 2000s, late 90s. But yeah, I think that's really going to help it age well.
I would agree.
Do we want to go into spoilers?
Yeah, sure.
So, what do you think the meaning was?
I mean, okay, so basically, getting into spoilers, there is an entity of some sort that is watching them that sent this video.
Yeah.
That basically traps them in loops. Now, this is going to be hard to talk about to people who haven't seen it. It is fucking bizarre.
So the Camp Acadia is what the cult calls themselves.
Correct.
And they are in a 10-year loop where they die every 10 years.
Now, do we know it's 10 years? Did they establish that?
I believe so.
Or do we just know that the brothers were gone for 10 years?
I believe they said. It happens every 10 years.
If they didn't, the point is it's a long period of time.
Right. And
so like for instance, when the brothers come back, nobody's aged.
Yes.
There's a photograph that they find on the way. And I don't know if you thought of this either, but the first thing they say is like,
this is held up really well.
Yeah, which is interesting because when we see it later, I feel like they're supposed to be out of the loop, but I could be wrong.
Actually, you know what? I think you actually stumbled on an actual plot hole there.
Well, I don't know if it's a plot hole or if they didn't actually get out.
They're in a larger loop.
Correct.
Which is like the whole, like kind of like the, I think the thing I really liked about it was you could take it metaphorically in a lot of different ways.
Well, no, what I was thinking, I was sitting there thinking like, oh, we do get trapped in these loops in our lives. That's kind of what I was thinking throughout the course of the movie.
Right.
Like if the next 2 weeks was a loop and you just stretched it for 10 years, would it be that much different from the actual life you're going to be living for the next 10 years? I mean, honestly.
Yeah, outside of, and it's really great that the brother says something can happen out there. Nothing can happen here. Which is great. But yeah, I mean,
break out of your loops, people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, start a podcast.
Find wild success in the world of podcasting.
But no, so basically there's these different, like around this camp are these different characters who are kind of stuck in loops. And they're different loops.
They're different loops and they have different amounts of time.
Right.
And that is fantastic.
Oh, it was fucking great.
There was my favorite one, and they show it early in the movie. And that was when I sort of figured out like it's a temporal thing of some kind.
Yeah.
Because the first clue is that they say, God, they look the same. And then he's like, well.
Right, but at that point you think it could just be there's like an alien thing.
Right.
Or like they're fucking eating nature bullshit.
Well, because as they're driving, they go past their mom's. It's not really a grave. It's just a memorial where they have pictures and stuff. And they see the picture that they left for their mom. It was a drawing that they made. And he says, oh, wow, this is held up really good. It looks like we just set it here. And then they show up at the camp and they're like, wow, these people are supposed to be in their mid-40s. and they look like they're in their 30s.
Well, the one character, the younger brother, has a crush on a woman, and the older brother is telling him, like, dude, she's 20 years older than you.
Yes.
And they look the same age.
Yes. And then they have a great interplay about pedophilia.
Yeah, that was great. That was really funny.
Women can't be pedophiles.
Yeah, right. The younger brother seems to think that women cannot be pedophiles.
Yes. Because genetically speaking.
Well, it's interesting because the first thing I thought about in that conversation was like, oh, this kind of plays into the whole thing. Like, there's like this double standard, and believe it makes sense or don't. But like if a male teacher has a relationship with a female student who's like 14, it's like, holy shit. If a male student does the same thing with like, a blonde, hottie, 35-year-old teacher. The old saying is they're going around getting high fives at school.
It's the South Park nice.
Yeah, right. Nice. Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I thought of during that scene. But that's the kind of shit that they put in the movie. Like, there's no reason that needs to be there.
Yep.
But it just adds a layer of like realism to, oh, this is a conversation I could see myself having.
Right. And the way that the older brother, who's on the on the lower bunk, the way he sort of deals with it, he's like, go to sleep. Right. Go to sleep.
Yeah.
And the younger brother keeps on trying to bring it up. It was a great little moment.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
There were a lot of them, I would say, over the course of the movie.
But the older brother goes on a jog, and there are these sort of markers around. They almost look like they're made from like either like mud or like volcanic rock.
They look like some sort of like Martian moon rock, like there's stalactites and stalagmites.
Yeah, exactly.
Which one grows up? Is it the mites or the?
I think stalagmites fall one day. Might fall one day. So I think it's That's those mnemonic devices help when you're a kid.
Oh, you guys can look it up if you really want to know, but you all know what I'm saying. So fuck you. Anyway, So they so there's those things around. They kind of are the markers, correct?
Yeah, they sort of mark for the different loops, absolutely. And he sort of like, since they're not in the loops, they can go into different loops. But the second that you get trapped when you die there or whatever it is, you are there and you are trapped in that loop. You cannot go into somebody else's loop.
All right. So now is a good time. Now that you said that, here's where I'm going to get into some of the messy stuff that I'm not sure if it makes sense.
Okay.
The guy who hangs himself.
Right.
Why can he see himself?
That is a great question.
And there's a lot of that in this movie where it's like, if you thought this out, Justin and Aaron, whatever your names are, the directors, who luckily they are named that in the movie as well. Maybe no one could remember their character's name, so they just went in with those names. But
anyway, half the characters in The Office have the same name as their character.
There you go.
So I'm fine. But
there's a lot of stuff like that where it's like, huh?
Yeah, that was...
and just the fact that, can they leave their loops? Is the only one that we seem to see running around is that guy, the goofy guy who hangs himself.
Right, but he never interacts with the other people at the camp.
Yeah, so is he out of his loop?
No, he cannot be out of his loop.
Right, so you can't interact with people. Oh, but you can, though. You can interact, because he interacts with the main characters, and they're not stuck in his loop. Or do they have to enter his loop?
Yeah, they have to enter his loop.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the way I understood it. And that this is inevitably the thing that's going to happen with a movie like this, where you deal with temporal, anything that deals with time gets a little convoluted.
Yeah, and I think that there are holes. There might not be. I don't know.
There might be. That one where he can see himself, that's a little tricky because it's sort of like, yeah, I think that might be the plot hole.
So I would say my assumption would be that the loop is still going.
Right.
When it ends, that'll be gone. He won't be hanging there anymore.
Right.
But why is he back in the loop?
Before his body goes.
So we don't know that.
Unless
that's fine, though. But do they need to explain it? I mean,
right?
Yeah,
it provided a great fucking moment.
Oh, it was hilarious. That character was great. So there's a character who like walks around, like power walks around the camp all the time, and you're like, who the hell is this guy? And the brothers are running into him. The older brother keeps seeing him and like waves and says hi, because apparently he knew him at some point. He knew him.
Yeah.
And basically we find out he's in this loop.
Yep.
And he's tried to get the fuck out of it forever.
He kills himself on a regular basis.
And he's just going nuts.
So one of the main characters in his journey and to find out what the hell is going on, he meets this guy, and he's the first one to tell it to him straight as to what's going on.
Yep, he was. You're correct.
And basically he's like, yeah, you're everybody here is in a different loop. And he stumbles upon the dude's carcass. He's hung himself in his shed. And then he leaves the door open naturally, as people do in horror movies. And the dude who's hanging appears behind him and starts yelling at him, "Don't touch my bike!
Yeah.
Don't touch my bike!
Yeah, it was
great. What the fuck are you doing here?" He just goes fucking nuts.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
He was a great character.
There were a lot of them I really like, and it's funny because I can't help but go into the other movie I watched because after I saw these guys have made 3 movies. One of them's Resolution, the other one's Spring, and then this one is The Endless. Now, Spring's out of the it's not connected to the other 2,
but Resolution is.
Yeah. So in this movie, The Endless, you meet, and this I'm going to start this by saying I don't think it matters what order you see these in.
That makes sense.
But in this movie, The Endless, there's these 2 characters who are like, they're squatting at a house.
Yes.
And one of them is, they introduce him in passing earlier as the crazy meth head gun nut guy.
Yeah. Yep.
So we meet him, and he is handcuffed to a pipe in the house.
Yep, on a mattress, which I think has shit on it.
Yeah, it's tore up. It's a torn up mattress. It's
pretty bad.
And he's another great character. I mean, he was really fucking funny.
He's incredibly affable.
Well, and it's funny because I looked up the actor for this guy.
Okay.
These are the only... He's been in these 3 movies. That's it. But, I thought he was awesome. I could see him... I mean...
Yeah, he nailed it.
Yeah, he was great. But anyways, so he's got this friend who has basically handcuffed him to this pipe.
Yep.
He came out here to save his friend from this meth addiction or whatever.
Yes.
Handcuffed him to this pipe, and now they're both stuck in a week-long loop.
Yes.
And so anyway, the reason I brought up that other movie is I get home and I go online and I'm like, I want to see other movies that these guys have made.
Right.
And the first one I come across is a movie about those 2 characters.
Yes.
So that movie ties into this,
which is amazing,
wonderfully, and you're gonna have to see it, Alex, because it's awesome.
I'm looking forward to it.
And I just kept thinking to myself, like, these are 2 great characters. Like, they just had this little part in this movie, and I was excited when I saw it was them because I was like, oh, I like those 2 in the 3-minute long scene,
right? Yeah,
the one.
So they carry their own movie.
Yes, 100%.
That's great.
It's fantastic. Well, it's fantastic.
It's ironic that it's called The Resolution, and they never get resolution.
Correct. Well, and that's you got to see it, but there's a reason why it's called that. And how it ties in is that movie. The plot is basically he comes to help his meth addict friend, and there's something like sending them pictures and shit, which also happens in The Endless.
Yes, that. Yeah, I can't believe we haven't even brought that up.
Right. So basically, whatever this entity is, it is like a voyeuristic.
It's voyeuristic. It sends things to people on outdated modes of media.
Correct.
It sends old Polaroids, old film reels, VHS tapes. It's crazy.
Yeah, and guess what? We didn't need like a big CGI monster to represent it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they had that one woman who drew pictures, and she sort of gave you a nice representation of it, and that was pretty cool.
Yep, I would agree. And that's all it takes, right?
And
let your imagination make up what the thing looks like.
Yeah, because if we had seen it physically, it would have ruined it a little bit.
Right, I agree.
But yeah, it likes to watch them. I think one of the great moments was when the brothers took a gun and they sort of went out and did some just shooting, shooting barrels and shit.
Yeah, that was neat.
And the monster actually stopped the bullet because it hates the older brother. It seriously seems to
dislikes him. Now, is the monster stopping it, or is it the edge of a loop?
I think it had to have been the monster because later in the pictures it showed. When they got so there's a shed in the movie, and it's got all of the media that this entity has sent these people over the years, and it dates back to like 1912.
And it grabbed the magic trick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It grabbed the ball, and it also it stopped the bullet because it was watching them there.
That's right. Now stop for a second because let's talk about the characters.
Right.
So we get there. We're introduced to the cult leader. He's kind of a normal. Like, he doesn't really have, outside of being like what's his talent? Because they all have like a talent, correct? He's just a charismatic guy, right?
He's a charismatic guy. Because they say we have no leaders here. He keeps on saying that, but he's like, I'm just the one who talks the most.
He's the de facto leader.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think his talent, because they're like, everybody has a talent.
Yep.
And I think his was like physics of some kind.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. He's doing the math problem.
Because he's trying to solve what this thing is.
Yes.
And that's why, it was funny because they said 115 years. That's how long it takes to master something.
So hopefully
that's what they're trying to do.
It's interesting.
I mean, God knows how long they're going to be out there.
115 years, if that's all he does, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you had him, and then you had the girl who they have the crush on. She's like the clothes, like the she makes their clothes. What would you call it? There's a name
seamstress.
For it. Yeah, there you go. And then there's her. We think it's like her boyfriend or something, but whatever.
Yeah,
is a magician.
Yep.
He knows magic tricks.
Yeah, and he actually did his card tricks were pretty impressive. And then there's one point where he's like, I've been working on this for a while because the older brother's getting tired of it. This is the first night. He's not having it. And then he throws a baseball, and he kind of throws it up once, twice. Third time he throws it up, it just hovers in the air. And it goes way up, but it doesn't come down for like 15, 20 seconds. And then it comes down. And he makes the older brother catch it, and it's like,
right.
That was the entity grabbing it.
Yeah.
Which means that it's watching, and it seems to enjoy these people at least.
Well, so that's what's interesting about the Reddit rabbit hole on this, is the theory being that the audience is the entity, which that would play into, in my opinion.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough because they also bring up H.P. Lovecraft.
Yes.
The movie starts with a quote.
Yeah,
from H.P. Lovecraft.
I wish I remembered that goddamn quote.
It was something about fear and the unknown.
Right. Yep. So that's the greatest fear, is the unknown.
Yes.
And it felt very Lovecraft. Like,
yes.
As far as there's some sort of interdimensional rift and there's some creature of some sort.
Yes.
But even if it is the audience, I mean, we're in a different dimension than the characters in the movie. You know what I'm saying?
If you want to think about it that way,
right.
Yeah. I mean, if it is, it's a very, very dark way. Like Cabin in the Woods is very much meant to be a commentary on voyeurs and audience and horror.
So you'll find this interesting. Resolution, that's what it's compared to the most.
Is Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah,
really?
Most of the people say, like, this is the real Cabin in the Woods.
Because here's the thing. I love Cabin in the Woods.
I wasn't a big fan.
I love it because it's not a horror movie.
No, it's certainly not.
It's a really, really good parody.
Yeah, it's a parody. I wasn't a huge fan of it.
Personally, I loved it because I felt like the writers really knew what they were doing, and they really knew horror. I felt like I don't know.
Well, they made fun of the tropes wonderfully.
They did.
But
they did.
I think they were trying to make it still be scary, though, and
yes,
they failed miserably, in my opinion.
Yeah. It wasn't scary at all. But I don't think that was the point.
Okay.
But anyways, getting off that movie, that is meant to be sort of like the gods demand a sacrifice, they say in that.
Right.
And so we're supposed to be the ones watching all these terrible things happen to these characters, whereas in this, I'm like, I don't know if it's a 1-to-1 correlation, because I'm not sure how. I mean, it kind of fits because if you want to think about a movie as a loop, technically those characters, all they do is live that loop.
Correct. And you make, like, if you were the audience and you had control of this, you might make little slight changes, and then once you were done with it, then you put it away.
And you could say,
that could just be overblown bullshit, and that's not it at all. I mean, I'm assuming you can look at this movie in whatever way you want. It could be God that's the entity.
Right. Because that was sort of maybe what I was thinking. that it's God, and it's got a sort of like there's no way that God can't be anything but sort of masochistic, like a masochistic voyeur.
Right. Okay.
But then I'm also thinking there are a lot of people that are dealing with like addictions of some kind in this.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe they're making a point about addiction and you know, because
I think the overall the what I got the most was what we discussed earlier, right? Basically that like, oh wow, I was watching and thinking to myself like, wow, like this is my life. I live in a fucking loop.
Absolutely.
And I think that's kind of
that's the point, is break out of your loop, whatever it is, and then whatever you glean from the movie beyond that is just gravy.
Exactly.
I think one of my favorite scenes was the guy in the tent.
Oh, that was so cool, too.
Because he's in like a 3-4 second loop.
He just got screwed.
Like, he just cannot get out. So every time he tries to get out of his loop, he's running to try and get out of his tent. And it seems like he just dies or explodes.
Yeah, we don't see what happens exactly.
Because he goes, because it is, I think it's PG-13.
It probably is.
Because there wasn't any serious
gore. You know what? I want to say on our ticket that the girlfriend said it said NR. So it might be not rated. Like the ratings board didn't even look at it.
Which is weird because it's very, you can tell it was supposed to be PG-13 because one of our favorite characters, the hanging man.
Oh God, so fucking great. That hanging man.
He finally gets a gun and he shoots himself, but the camera pans so that you don't see him shoot himself. You just see the blood splat. So you could really tell that they were aiming for a PG-13.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But yeah, that dude, that scene was amazing because he finally notices the younger brother who's sort of come to the window of the tent, and he's like, "Just get out, just get
the fuck out of here." Yeah, you don't want to be living the way I am, you know,
because he just dies every 3 to 5 seconds.
And I've just confirmed it is not rated.
Okay.
Now, what? Okay, so here we go into more like possible plot holes here. Mm-hmm. Do you remember your loops? Or do you kind of remember your loops? As you go, you start to realize that you remember it.
I think that's what it is because the two guys from Resolution, he says, if I hear you say, "Oh, hey, buddy," one more time, I'm gonna fucking lose it.
Yeah, and that was what when he showed up at the beginning of the loop.
At the beginning of the loop. So, yeah, exactly.
So the meth head guy probably doesn't really remember he's in a loop because he's just out there going crazy.
They both remember it. That's the thing. They both remember it, but it takes them a while.
Yeah, because it takes you a minute. You probably have to get that feeling of like deja vu type shit going on.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I thought it was a really tight script. Really, I mean, outside of the dude who hangs himself, which I'm totally willing to forgive because it gave us one of the best moments in the movie.
Right, or maybe the picture.
What was the picture?
The picture might, we just discussed it might be a plot hole, the picture that they left at the accident site.
Yes. Which I almost feel like is your Inception ending. Are they still in a loop?
Right, or that's just a bigger loop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or the whole world is a loop, and we all don't know it.
Oh, Jesus. Now, oh, God, my brain's going to hurt tonight thinking about that.
I will tell you one point I was concerned. At the very end, the monster's having a conniption shit because you can see there are 3 moons. It's nice. They gave it a nice ticking clock.
That was interesting. It reminded me of, did you ever play Majora's Mask, Zelda game?
I have not played it.
So, yeah, the plot of that. Yeah. The plot is the moon's coming, and as the moon gets closer, if it hits the Earth, you start over.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, so it's a loop.
But. Yeah. That's oh, God, you almost wonder if that's where they got the idea.
It's possible. They're probably about the right age for it.
They are, yeah. They're probably right around our age.
Well, there you go. Majora's Mask, the movie.
But at the end, the 3 moons have become full.
Yep.
And which means all the campers die a horrific death. Which actually they said, "Oh, it's terrible. The thing that it does to you, it just turned them to ash."
It Thanos'd them.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't seem any worse than hanging yourself.
So basically, you're stuck with that though, right? I mean, you kill yourself, you still come back, see your dead corpse, and then you're still going to get the ash kill at the end, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
No.
Hold on.
Because they're like, I'm going to do it on my terms. That's why he kills himself. That's why he shoots himself. That's why the
dude,
okay,
got it.
Yeah. So
how about the character? We didn't talk about the old dude who like kind of is like, what the fuck? Why aren't we just sending them away?
Right.
I almost felt like
right. The brewmaster.
The brewmaster. He was great.
Yeah, I liked him. I really felt like there was going to be more to his character than that.
Yeah, but that's his role. He's just he's like a confidant of the quote unquote leader guy.
Yeah.
It seems, and he kind of like wants the brothers to know if they want to leave, get the fuck out.
Yeah, make your own decision.
Yeah, right.
Which was great. There were quite a few moments in the movie where I was like, this dialogue is it's telling you a message.
Right. Yeah.
One of the guys from Resolution actually said it. One of them was something along the lines of like, we never know what moments are going to have massive effects on our lives or something like that, as he's going to the cabin to burn it down so that they don't die in the horrific.
They were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to see that movie, dude.
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, it's really good, man.
Did you watch it illegally?
I'll plead the fifth. I found it.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way.
I will also find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bit that really sort of it scared me at the end was so they're driving and they're getting away as the monster is having conniption shit.
Right.
And then they're trying to get out of the loop, and they see these birds as the birds hit the outside of the loop. And they hit that sort of reflective wall.
Correct, yeah.
And then it cuts to black right as they hit it, but it gives you a sound of like a car crash, but not like, it doesn't sound like a full-on one.
That was weird. And that is that's kind of your inception, what the fuck actually happened.
But then they get out.
Yes.
And it's day. It's daytime when they
day. You're right. It is day.
And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, that scared me because I was like, are you going to end it like this? Really? That's a bunch of bullshit and you know it. Like it's such a cop-out ending, if they were to end it there.
I would agree. And what was the actual ending? Was it just the cult people? Like
they looked out and they basically could tell that the brothers had made it out.
Yeah, and it started over for them.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so they must have made it out because the way that the cult leader looked out, he looked very sad. Like he wanted friends. He wanted more friends. But then, the one who wanted them to get out, the brewmaster, he just kind of, pats him on the back and lets him know it's okay. So I think they had to have made it out.
I think they made it out too.
Though I do like the idea. I almost wish that they had shown larger markers. Like maybe they got nah.
Well, yeah, no, it's fine. It's
because I was going to say, well, maybe they don't see the markers, but maybe as they step into their apartment, the camera pans down and you see another marker.
There you go.
That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, but that would have just made it. You know what I mean? It wasn't that kind of movie.
Right.
So.
It wasn't. It was damn near perfect for what it was.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I was extremely happy about it.
I think it's a nice companion piece to like Annihilation this year.
And folks, you can rent Resolution on Amazon Prime Video now. Just so you know, in case you want to rent
Go
it.
out
I'm
and do
actually
it.
buying it right now on Blu-ray.
Good.
And then I'll give it to Alex, and then I'll never see it again.
What are you... Okay, the only thing that I've had is Red Sun, and I've had that for like a couple months.
Oh, that's true. See, I forgot about that.
But everything else...
I get back. That's
yes.
true. That's true.
I'm not that bad.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we really should... I'm glad that we're plugging this because movies like this, people like this need more attention.
I would agree.
It felt like an indie movie, but not a pretentious bullshit one.
No, exactly. Not at all. I didn't feel that way about it at all.
Like this was infinitely if Mother isn't Mother exclamation point, this is the opposite of that.
Right. I would agree. It's where it's not pretending to have something to say. It actually does have something to say and it makes you work for it as opposed to it's Mother Earth.
Yeah.
And people treat her badly.
And God is a dick.
Yep. Right.
And they live in a house.
He's a creator.
And this house is Earth.
Yeah.
And all these sycophants are humanity.
See, it's really bad because my personality, I didn't hate that movie as much as you did. I know. I thought it was watchable.
I was insulted.
I'm always down for some weird, like, out there bullshit, which it got that way at the end, where it was like everybody's fucking tearing up their house and she's, getting beaten to shit. It's just bizarre.
Seeing as that movie was nothing but pure metaphor, and that's all it was.
Yeah.
There's no interest, because I'm like, oh, I get it. We're tearing apart Mother Earth.
Okay, that's another one. That's another one where we've talked about marketing before, right? And the way that it can
There was no way to market that movie.
They marketed it as a horror movie, and it was not. It didn't feel like
There
one.
is no marketing that movie.
Yeah,
though.
you're probably right.
I don't know how you sell that. I really don't. I mean, I know how you sell it. And what they did probably boosted the profits like by threefold.
You think so, or do you think it hurt them because I went in thinking like, oh, it's a crazy fucking horror movie.
See, I think that's the inevitability, but I think horror has a huge appeal to general
So
audiences.
you think they were willing to risk the large opening night for the poor word of mouth that made everybody stop going to see it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Because I think if you market that as an indie movie, only Sundance theaters pick it up, and you make a tenth of what you made on opening night. And maybe it gets a 3 times multiplier, but doesn't matter at that point. But anyways, fuck that movie.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Well, yeah, so I also say that movie was great, The Endless. Thought it was great.
Yes.
Now let's talk about a couple oddball things that we saw this week. I saw The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, which is a movie from the early 90s.
Okay.
Starring Lloyd Braun from Seinfeld. That's what I'm going to call him, Lloyd Braun.
Yes,
and,
Lloyd Braun.
And another woman, and then Rebecca De Mornay, who was like a sex pot early 90s hottie who I don't think ever really did too much. She was in Risky Business.
I remember her, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, plot of the movie. Basically, a woman is pregnant. She goes to see her gynecologist, and he's a creeper. He's like, he starts like, rubbing on her and, glovelessly feeling around.
As you do.
Yeah. Anyways, the OBGYN or whatever. So he's a creeper. Mm-hmm. She reports him to the authorities. He kills himself.
Damn.
Okay, so he kills himself. Now, he was expecting with his wife. His wife, played by Rebecca De Mornay, loses her baby in childbirth. So she holds this against the woman who reported the guy.
Oh.
So she takes on an alias and moves in as the nanny at their house. And it is fucking creepy.
Oh, that sounds
she
great.
tries it's got that 90s feel too, like the classic 90s like suspense music.
Okay.
But and Lloyd Braun's the husband of the good wife, whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, she's creepy shit like sneaking into the other woman's baby's room at night and breastfeeding it.
I was just gonna say that seems
just like the kind. I haven't been so like uncomfortable watching something in a while. It was really uncomfortable.
So it was really uncomfortable. Really, more of a suspense thriller than a horror. Would you say?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yes, but it is fucking creepy.
90s had some really good suspense horror or suspense thriller.
Is it like this great movie, like a masterpiece? No, but if you're going for like a tone that's going to make someone feel, ugh,
right?
Yeah, it nails that. Other than that, I also started a show on Netflix. I think it's a Danish show.
Okay.
Called The Rain, where basically the premise is there's some scientist dude, and he goes to get his family and says, we need to go, and moves them to this bunker.
Okay.
And there's a rain that falls, and it's a virus, and it kills people.
Okay.
Everyone gets infected who gets rained on.
This sounds like a Stephen King book.
It does. It sounds very Stephen King-like. But yeah, so a rain comes, rains on people. It ends up being just the two. This is the pilot episode, by the way, so I'm not spoiling shit, really.
Right.
But it ends up the show follows basically somehow the young son, he's like a 4-year-old or something, is the key to this. Like somehow there's something within him that's important.
Shining.
Yeah, something's important about him, and the older sister is watching him, So yeah, that's the premise. And so far, it's okay. It's no dark. I heard foreign Netflix show, and I was like, oh, son of a bitch, I got to watch it.
Right.
What if it's dark?
Because, we got to explain that.
We should have a whole episode of it. We should rewatch that.
Next week.
Are we going to talk about Dark? I don't know. No, we can't. I'm not going to be ready. It's been too long. I got to watch it again.
Let's give it another week, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I'll watch it again.
Okay, so Deadpool and Dark. Then.
Someday we'll get into Dark. Stay tuned. Because that needs to be discussed. It's a
fucking amazing show.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, top 3 for me for the last decade.
It's really fucking good. Yeah,
top 5. I don't know. There are a lot of really good TV shows now.
That's part of the problem. I've got so many damn shows. But yeah, anyways, that's what I watched. I know you watched The Greatest Showman this week, didn't you?
Simply lovely.
Yeah,
it's just delightful.
I had to bring that up. So yeah, you liked it then.
I liked it.
Yeah, it's really good.
So we were talking La La Land, and you were like, this music's written by the same guys.
Yeah.
Can kind of feel it.
Sure.
Which I was fine with. This feels like the pop version of La La Land. La La Land being jazz, and it's
old-timey.
La La Land, it borders on pretentious.
Sure.
This does not.
No, and I liked La La Land a lot.
Right. I like it a lot too. It's just I'm willing to admit it's a little pretentious.
Oh yeah, my dad loved it. Like it's like
he loved La La Land. Oh really?
Oh yeah, nice. That's his kind of probably made him feel like a kid again.
Well, it's that whole justification. They love hearing that their time was better than other times.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true of anybody.
But yeah, no. So you liked it?
It was delightful.
Yeah, it is. That's like the best way to describe it. It's just a delight.
I knew I was falling in love with the movie when it was young Hugh Jackman taking the girl into the abandoned mansion.
Oh, so that's like the first 3 minutes. You were like, oh, I'm digging this, huh?
I was blown away with how much I was invested in this character. Immediately.
Yeah, I would agree.
And they have one... So they got an opening song, which is sort of like let's see how he got here.
Right.
And then they go into sort of his backstory. And that whole song covers 2.5 decades or something like that.
Yeah, and the way they did it, I started... Okay, well, I'm going to get accused of being a pussy here, but I started getting kind of sad and attached to the character. You didn't know anything about him.
Immediately.
Right, yeah.
I felt horrible when he ends up homeless at the age of 12, 13.
Yeah.
Because he's too old to be in an orphanage.
Right.
So he's just living on I'm like, man, that fucking blows.
Yeah, I agree. And he kind of has to be like a huckster asshole to make it.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
And then the fact that, he's working in a rich dude's house with his dad.
Oh God, that was awful.
And then the rich dude slaps him
because he made the daughter laugh.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jesus Christ. And his dad just sits there and takes it.
It's what he had to do.
And I'm like, that is a shit time to live. You don't fucking touch me.
That reminds me, there was an episode of Mad Men where kind of the same thing happened where somebody, they're over at a dinner party or something, and the kid knocks something over, and the person whose house it is just smacks the shit out of the kid. But back then it was just
this is what you do with kids. Isn't it fun hitting kids?
The way they portrayed it in this, though, was good because it's okay, well, what kind of... I mean, obviously, this dad can't afford to lose whatever work he's doing.
Right.
Shining this guy's shoes or whatever the hell he was there to do.
Exactly.
So it's can't say anything.
Yep.
It
sucked.
Right.
I understood the father's point of view. But yeah, that was a great movie. What's her name? Zendaya.
Yeah.
She was great.
Yeah, she's
Zac
great.
Efron. I'm sitting here and I'm like, motherfucker, you're just a short, young Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, he could do some things.
He really could.
I would agree.
I was wildly impressed with how much I liked it.
Yeah, see, folks, everybody needs to see that one.
It does. It's a must-see.
I've only talked to one person who hasn't liked it.
Really?
Who I've recommended it to. Yeah.
Is it Explosions McGee?
No, but they are heartless, and they've got to be.
I do take umbrage, sir, with the fact you're in this movie.
Oh,
you're in this.
Yeah, that's
the
you.
Heartless critic.
He was great, though. I thought. That actor's awesome, first of all.
Okay.
Yeah, and the character, like, at the end, he's kind of,
He sees the quality in what he brought to the table.
Correct.
Which was nice. I'm also not that heartless.
I was making a joke. But
I really liked that. Speaking of movies that I felt very passionately for, I despised License to Wed.
Okay.
If we're talking about
now,
movies
who's in that one?
Well, it's a young 12-year-old John Krasinski.
Okay, now hold on. Before you continue, let's start with the story. Why did you watch this?
It was on Netflix, and
you love John Krasinski or what?
No, it was a matter of I never saw this. It looked terrible. I am just so sick of everything else on Netflix. Because, okay, here's my little aside. Netflix has been adding nothing but shit movies for like the last 3-4 months.
Yeah, the movie quality, like the actual films they have on there they leave much to be desired. I spend a lot of time scrolling around trying to find something that looks interesting enough to watch.
And they add nothing but like Korean, Japanese, and Bollywood films because I'm sure they get them for the cheap. And it's honestly, it's bullshit. I think the best movie, and it's not really the best movie, but
hey, everyone note that Alex hates Koreans and
fucking hell. Oh, see, that's actually bullshit because I actually watched a great Japanese TV show. It's called Father of Light. I like how I'm doing a plug for a different thing in the middle of my review for License to Wed, but it's called Father of Light, and it's about this dad and his son. And the first episode is he takes his son, who's about 5-6 years old, and they go to the video game store. They buy Final Fantasy, the first one, for the first time. And they play it, like the kid's playing, and he's like all getting into it, and the dad's kind of watching from like, he's reading the newspaper, and then he sort of looks up and he's all intrigued. He's like, damn, that looks kind of cool. So late at night, he starts playing the game.
Okay.
And his son wakes up, it's still 5 or 6 at this time, and he catches, and so that becomes the thing that they do together.
And where can you see this?
It's on Netflix.
All right, there you go. And what was the name of it?
Father of Light.
Father of Light.
Which is really depressing because the father in it figure, he actually just died.
Did you just spoil the movie or the show?
No.
Oh, the actor.
The actor just died.
I was like, Jesus Christ, Alex.
No.
I was watching it and he just died.
But it fast forwards like 15, 20 years. So the kid is still, it seems common that they live in their homes until they have like a family or something in Japan. So he's still living at home. He's got like an office job, but he still plays, he's a gamer. And the dad has long since gotten over Final Fantasy and they don't bond over it anymore.
Okay. But
then his dad up and quits his job randomly. And you just don't do that in Japanese society. You just don't. Basically, son gets him the newest Final Fantasy online game so that they can play it together. But he's like, I'm going to introduce this to you, but I'm not going to tell you that it's me who's helping you.
Right.
So they're both playing at the same time in different rooms in the house, but neither of them the father
doesn't know. Okay.
And so it's kind of cool. Yeah, it was heartwarming. It was a heartwarming show.
Nice.
I do recommend it. But License to Wed, I just
don't recommend it.
It's horrible. You've got Robin Williams. So the main plot is that John Krasinski loves Mandy Moore.
Okay, that's what this is. Is he the priest?
He's the priest who's got this.
Now I know which movie you're talking about.
It's one of those like meet the parents. It's a nice guy who just gets shit on the whole movie.
Sure.
I fucking hated it.
Hated it.
Were
you bored?
I was not bored. I was beyond annoyed.
Okay.
Like if our scale is bored to annoyed, happy in the middle, I was off the scale.
Okay.
Furious. I watched it because I was like, I finished it because I'm like, I want to, it's like you're watching the most ugly birth ever. And you're like, there's no way that this baby can be this ugly. But I have to see how ugly this baby is. I have to watch it until the end. And I watched that baby pop out, and it was gross.
Yeah.
So John Krasinski has to do all these trials that Robin Williams wants him to go through because Mandy Moore she has to get married by this priest. She has to.
And this is like what he requires of the couple.
It's an exam. It's like a course that he takes. Otherwise, he will not marry you.
Okay.
And they made Robin Williams unlikable. They made Mandy Moore a complete bitch.
Okay.
But the script doesn't seem to think that she's a bitch.
Right. We've seen those movies before.
So there's a point where Robin...
It's always funny when one of your protagonists is just like someone that you just can't fucking stand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the point isn't to make you not able to stand them,
right.
You know?
Well, because I kept on thinking, I'm like, I have not seen anything other than the fact that she's pretty. I have not seen anything in this movie that makes me think that she is fiancé material.
Okay.
She is incredibly self-centered. There's a point where John Krasinski is there with Robin Williams and her whole family is there, all the in-laws. And he's like, to get to know one another better, we have to do a word association game.
Okay.
And they all have one word that they can use. And John tries to be nice. And then everybody's like, vanilla, bland, aggressive, but they say it sarcastically.
Right.
And they're being complete assholes. And then eventually he just has enough and he starts saying the real words that he would use, the mean ones. And suddenly he's the asshole. And then the Robin Williams gives them 2 robot babies that they have to watch.
Okay.
And then his friend, who is John Krasinski's friend, who is like the worst friend in the world, gives him terrible advice throughout the whole film, drops off his kids. So now they have 2 robot babies, 2 real black babies, and they have to go and scan the registration for their wedding. And while they're there, John Krasinski has one of those things that straps the babies to him. So he's got the 2 robot babies that make noise and they burp and they fart and they shit.
Sure.
And then he's got the 2 black kids on like those leash things that parents have. He's doing this all while his fiance is just scanning shit. And it's like, oh, isn't it hilarious? Look at him go. He can't do it all by himself. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you're a fucking bitch.
It sounds great.
It's fucking awful. I was floored with how bad it was. But
there you go.
I guess that means that I was annoyed this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even think that you were bored at all this week.
No, I was a little bored with that rain show, but I'll continue. See if it gets any better.
But yeah, that's been another Bored and Annoyed in the books. I've been home at the movies.
And I have been Jackson. And then, by the way, if anybody comes up with a little nickname for me, I'm feeling a little left out. You got this cool one. I'm just me. So,
well, I love the fact that I call myself Home at the Movies. And then in every episode, you're like, Alex.
Yeah, I can't help it. I can't help it.
But yeah, you guys, if you guys want to email us any questions, anything, any topic that you want us to cover, really, any film, anything.
Right.
You can email us at twoboredandannoyedboys@gmail.com.
And I'm hoping big things are coming here up the pike for the podcast. I got some ideas, so we'll introduce those soon.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.